internally on an oblique line. That's kind of a mouthful, right? But let's see where we are. This is the lumbar vertebrae, right? So we say level with the junction of the last lumbar, which is this, the junction, and the sacrum, which is all of this, right? So level with this. And an oblique line about 6 inches inside, you find the internal ilia. Again, we know that lymph nodes are embedded in fat, so we look for the fat deposit, and we probably can see the grayish cast protruding through the fat. Right?
Oh.
It's a flat lymph node, so if you make an incision there, right?
Oh. Let me see that machine can see some muscle.
So that's the internal ilia. Make multiple. Yeah, it's a little congested, but nothing to worry about. It's probably because of struggling at slaughter. It's notice they're probably.
They really like to see how infant or one way. All of it are there.
You're not going to find it. But when you learn the signs of generalization, then it will come a little clearer. Alright? So that's the internal ilia. The next one is the
external ilia.
No, we don't do the external ilia. Next one is the renal lymph node. Right?
Renal.
Now, when we get to the kidney, first thing we do is to remove the kidney from its capsule, right? We do this by making an incision through the fat and the membrane. Okay? That's the kidney. You get your finger beyond the membrane and you apply pressure, right? And it comes out. Right? Notice that the kidney is lobular. Right? You examine the surface, okay? And you make an incision in the pelvic area and examine. Okay? The next thing is to find the renal lymph node. Now, this structure is part of the lymphatic system, right? It is the thoracic duct, the thoracic duct. And this bulbous area forms the beginning of the thoracic duct, and it is known as the cisterna chyli or the receptaculum chyli. Same thing, right? So you look for this branch. Notice. Okay? And you make an incision through the duct, just posterior to the branch. So if you make an incision here, we see fat.
Oh, see there.
And you have
Is that the?
No, but it's congested. You may find, the thing about it is that you may find one, you may find several.
What's the
and sometimes you'll find none.
So one to how much?
Usually one, but you may have one, sometimes none. Okay? Now, so you'd have examined the renal lymph node. There is a structure that is not here. related to the kidney, a gland which sometimes persons mistake as the renal lymph node. I'll show it, it's not here, but on another time.
So repeat why you cut the liver into again before you did the kidney.
The kidney?
Yeah, why you cut it
No, in order to remove it from its capsule.
No, into it.
into it, not
To find the
Oh, you
nose.
make an incision here at the unobserved. Right? Then we go to the prepectoral. Again, this one is
Which
often
one, sir?
removed.
prefecture.
Prepectoral.
Right? Often removed. It's small. Sometimes.
That's it?
Yeah, this is it. Okay? And you're done with those lymph nodes that are considered internal. You then have two more lymph nodes.
External.
You have, so you notice we come down, right? And then we rotate the carcass, and before we go back up, we expose the largest lymph node that you'll find in the carcass.
So the top one wasn't the largest? One bigger than that?
It is the prescapular lymph node. Prescapular. Notice, scapula. It's related to the scapula. Pre means that it is in front of the
Front of
scapula.
the scapula.
And this lymph node is located about 3 inches in front of the angle of the scapula. Notice that the scapula runs this way and then this way. Right? So the angle would be somewhere here. Right?
Sorry, say that.
The scapula runs, see, and here,
Yes.
and then here. So the angle is here.
Yes.
So 2.5, 3 inches in front of the angle of the scapula would be somewhere
Right.
right here. Now, you can palpate and locate it, or if you think you are expert enough, I am not, then you can just make your incision. Now, the lymph node, though considered superficial, is below muscle. So you have to incise through muscle to get to it. Right? Make an incision right there. And this is the heavy fat deposit. Hey, that's your cue. Right. You have to partially remove it or hold it in such a way that you can make the incisions. You notice how it's large and bulbous? You make an incision. So, this is it.
How big is that? Yeah. How really big is that?
And lymph nodes must be examined with multiple incisions so that you expose as much of the cross-sectional area as is possible. Alright? Then we have the last lymph node that is examined on the carcass. It is the pre-femoral.
Pre-femoral.
Before the femur. Right. It is before the head of the femur, and it is at the edge of this muscle, which is the tensor fasciolator muscle. The head of the femur. This one, yeah, this is it. You see it's deep in here. Sometimes it's not so obvious, especially in fat cows. Right, because they're covered with fat, right? So this is the And notice where it is. It is more proximal to this muscle than to here, right? Okay. So again, you make the incision to expose it, okay? And then you make your multiple incisions. Multiple
The second biggest one, sir.
incisions.
Oh, me thought so I can get a picture.
Or pre-cura.
Pre-femoral.
So, go through the inspection procedure again.
Yes, sir.
You observe the external and palpate the external surfaces, paying attention to the heavy muscles. You rotate the carcass and you examine the cut muscles and bones, and you examine and palpate the visceral cavity. You elevate the diaphragm and examine the pleural cavity. You then locate the superficial inguinal, which is just posterior to the inguinal ring, or the supramammary, posteriorly located relative to the udder and partly covered by it. Then the internal iliac, which is level with the junction of the last lumbar vertebrae and the sacrum, and about 6 inches internal on an oblique line going slightly posterior. Right? Okay. Then you have the renal lymph nodes, which is examined after the kidney is decapsulated. The renal lymph node is about midway the kidney and proximal, almost attached to the thoracic duct. All right? Then we go to the prepectoral, which is at the thoracic inlet. This here. Okay? Then the prescapular, which is about 2.5 inches to 3 inches in front of the angle of the scapula. Right? And the prefemoral, which is at the head of the femur and at the edge of the tensor fasciolata muscle. The lymph nodes are located, exposed, and incised with multiple incisions. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right? So that's the procedure.